The arrival and the offer it was a quiet night. The streets were empty and the sky was full of stars. Jay, a young man in his late 20s, walked alone on the road near the edge of the city. He had no idea that this night would change everything. He looked up, watching the stars. He liked silence. It helped him think. Life had been hard recently, job problems, family distance, and a feeling like he didn't belong anywhere. He sighed and kept walking. Suddenly, the wind stopped. Everything became silent. Too silent. No dogs, barking. No cars. Even the leaves stopped moving. Jay paused. He looked around. Something felt wrong. Then, the sky cracked. Not like thunder, not like lightning. It cracked, like glass breaking. A glowing line opened up in the middle of the sky. A strange blue light poured out of it. Jay stepped back, eyes wide. He wanted to run, but his legs didn't move. A shape came out of the crack, smooth, silver, and floating. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a helicopter. It was something he had never seen before. The object was long, like a spear, and it made no sound. It slowly came down, landing in the empty park ahead. The ship touched the ground, and the blue light faded. Jay, still frozen, whispered to himself, "What the hell is that?" A soft voice echoed in the air. "You have been chosen, human." Jay turned around, but no one was there. "Who said that?" he shouted. Then a figure stepped out of the ship. She was tall, glowing slightly, and dressed in silver and white. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes looked like galaxies, not scary, not angry, calm, powerful, like someone who had seen thousands of years. Jay stared, unsure if he should speak or run. The woman smiled. "Do not be afraid," she said. "I am the Empress of Vectra. I came from another star system. And you, Jay Taylor, have been chosen." "Chosen for what?" he asked, his voice shaking. She walked closer, but not too close. Her steps made no sound. "In every cycle of the universe," she said, "one human is given a chance to make 3 wishes." Jay laughed nervously. 3 wishes? Like a genie? She tilted her head. "Similar, but these are not magic tricks. They are real changes to the fabric of reality. But you must choose wisely. Every wish has a consequence." Jay blinked. Was he dreaming? Was this real? "Why? Me?" he asked. "Because you asked for more," she said simply. "You wanted more than this small world. Your mind reached out and the universe heard you." He didn't know what to say. Was this some trick? A test? The Empress raised her hand. A small orb of light floated above it. "Say your first wish," she said. "But remember, nothing will be the same after." Jay thought for a moment. His heart was beating fast. He could wish for money, power, or even to fix the pain in his life. But something inside him whispered to think deeper. He looked at the Empress. "I wish," he said slowly, "that I could understand and speak with all beings in the universe." The orb stopped spinning. The Empress's smile faded. Silence. Even the wind stopped again. "You wish to hear everything?" she asked. Jay nodded. "Yes, to know what others feel. Not just humans, animals, aliens. Everything." The Empress stepped back. She looked almost afraid. "This wish," she said, "will open more than just voices. You will hear truths, things you may not want to know." Jay took a breath. "I still want it." She looked at him one last time, then released the orb. It flew into Jay's chest. His eyes glowed white for a moment. Then, silence again. He heard a bird nearby, but not just the sound. He understood it. "I am cold," the bird was thinking. "Why is the night so long?" Jay gasped. He looked at a tree, and he heard a slow, deep voice. "I remember when this land was fire." His mind started to spin. He held his head, trying to control the voices. Then, among the sounds of nature and emotion, a dark voice whispered in the back of his mind. You have opened the gate. Jay froze. What gate? He asked out loud. But the voice was gone. The Empress stared at him. You have done something no human ever did before, she said. You didn't just make a wish? You changed the rules. She looked up at the stars, her expression unreadable. The others? They will feel this. What others? Jay asked. She turned to him, her voice now serious. We must leave. Now. The camera zooms in on Jay's confused and worried face, then cuts to black. The language of the universe, the stars above were still shining, but something in the air had changed. Jay stood still in the middle of the park, his mind spinning. It had only been a few minutes since he made his first wish, a wish to understand and speak with all beings in the universe. He thought it would give him peace, clarity, maybe even a little control. But now, his head was full of voices. Not human voices, not even alien. They were everything. The grass beneath his feet whispered of the footsteps it had felt over the years. A squirrel ran past and screamed in his mind, Food! Food! Danger! Food! The moon above sang a song, slow, deep, in a language that had no words, only meaning. His eyes widened in shock. He could feel thoughts, emotions, memories, even pain. He dropped to his knees. Make it stop, he whispered. The alien Empress stood behind him, calm but alert. You asked? For understanding, she said. And now you have it. Jay held his head. I can't take it, there are too many. You will learn to control it, she said. But there is something you must know. Something more dangerous than voices. He looked up at her, breathing hard. What do you mean? The Empress looked toward the sky. Her face was serious now, without the peaceful smile she had before. When you made that wish, she said, you didn't just open your mind, you opened a door that has been locked for thousands of years. Jay frowned. A door to what? She stepped closer. To a language older than time, a voice that speaks only when someone is foolish or brave enough to listen. Before Jay could ask, he heard it again. The same voice from before, deeper than anything else. A whisper that shook his bones. We see you now, listener, Jay gasped. It's back. That voice. The Empress closed her eyes. They know you heard them. And now they are watching. Who are they? Jay asked. She opened her eyes slowly. They are called the Voidborn. Jay stood up. Voidborn? What do they want? Silence, she replied. True silence. Not peace. Not balance. They want the end of all sound, all thought, all life. Jay's heart beat faster. And you think, they're coming for me? No, she said. They're coming for all of us. But you are the key now. You can hear them, and they can speak through you. He stepped back. I didn't ask for this. No one ever does, she said quietly. Suddenly the sky flashed again. Not like before. This time it was red. A rip tore through the clouds, and a small, dark object flew out of it. It looked like a rock. Rough, sharp, and glowing faint purple. From the inside, it didn't fly like a ship. It didn't float like the Empress's craft. It fell, and it hit the ground near them with a loud crack. Jay and the Empress ran to it. Dust rose from the impact. As the air cleared, they saw it. A small pod, not mechanical. It looked alive. The Empress stepped forward and touched it gently. The pod opened like a flower. Inside was a single black crystal, floating. Jay heard something again. But it wasn't a voice this time. It was a song. A cold, sad song. His eyes rolled back. In a flash he saw visions, ruined cities, stars dying, oceans burning, millions of beings screaming, but no one could hear them. Then, silence. Total silence. He woke up gasping, falling backward. The Empress caught him. What did you see? She asked. Death, he said. The end of everything. They're sending warnings now, she said. Messages through the crystal. They're testing your mind. They want to see how much you can take. Jay looked at the black crystal. It didn't move, didn't glow, but he could feel it watching him. What do we do? He asked. The Empress looked distant. I was told this would happen, but not so soon. Told by who? Jay asked. She hesitated. I cannot say. Not yet. Jay stepped in front of her. You brought me into this. You owe me the truth. The Empress turned away. Fine, she said. Follow me. Her ship opened again. They entered. Inside, it wasn't metal or wires. It looked like a living thing. Soft walls, glowing lights, and a heartbeat-like sound in the background. They entered a room full of glowing spheres. Each one showed a different world. These are all the planets we've watched, she said. Many of them were destroyed. By the Voidborn. And you never stopped them? Jay asked. We tried, she said. But they don't fight with weapons. They fight with silence. They erase sound, thought, identity. They make you forget who you are. Jay touched one of the glowing spheres. Suddenly, he saw himself. But not as he was now. He was older, different, stronger, wearing strange armor, leading others. He pulled his hand back. Was that me? The Empress nodded. A possible future. One of many. Jay stared at her. Why me? I'm just a guy with no real purpose. She turned to face him. Because sometimes the quietest voice becomes the loudest echo. A moment passed. Then alarms rang in the ship. Strange symbols flashed in the air. The Empress moved fast, reading them. They found us. A voidling has entered this system. What's a voidling? Jay asked. A scout. A small one, she said, but deadly enough. Jay looked out the window. In the distance, something black floated through space. Not a ship. Not a creature. Just a shadow that moved like smoke but faster than light. Jay turned to the Empress. What happens now? She looked at him, serious. Now we run, and you learn how to fight. The ship lifted off the ground, fire bursting behind it. As it disappeared into the sky, the park below turned dark, and the black crystal in the ground pulsed once. From the shadows, something began to crawl toward it. The hidden war. The stars were no longer beautiful. Jay sat inside the alien ship, staring at the endless black sky. They were moving fast, faster than anything he could imagine. The Empress piloted the ship in silence, her focus sharp, her hands glowing slightly as they touched the living control panel. He hadn't said a word for almost an hour. Too many voices, too many thoughts. The ability he had wished for now felt like a curse. He could hear the ship breathing. He could hear distant creatures screaming across light years. And worst of all, he could still hear them, the Voidborn, whispers in the shadows of space. He rubbed his eyes, tired. Then he asked softly, how many planets have they destroyed? The Empress didn't turn around. Too many to count. Why? He whispered. She paused, then spoke, slow and clear. Because they see life as noise. To them, every laugh, every heartbeat, every idea is chaos. They believe in silence, perfect eternal silence. Jay shook his head. But why do they hate us so much? Because we speak, she said. Because we choose. Jay looked at her. What do you mean? You made a wish, she said, finally turning to face him. Not for power, not for control, but for connection. That is the one thing the Voidborn cannot understand. Connection. And that scares them. He felt something stir inside him. A small flame. Weak, but real. Before he could speak again, a soft chime rang through the ship. A hologram opened. A planet appeared. Blue and green. Beautiful. Spinning slowly. What is that? He asked. The Empress looked at it, her eyes sad. That, she said, is Halora. It used to be my home. Used to be? We're going there, she said. But what you'll see, it's not what it was. The ship entered the planet's orbit. From above, Halora looked peaceful. Clouds floated, oceans glittered, mountains stood tall. But as they flew lower, the truth appeared. The cities were silent ruins, blackened towers, broken roads. No sound, no life. Jay walked with the Empress through the ruins. The wind carried no sound. Even his footsteps were too quiet. What happened here? He asked. A voice was stolen, she said. The voice of the world. When the Voidborn attacked, they didn't drop bombs. They erased sound. And when you can't speak, you can't fight. You can't hope. You can't resist. They reached a large dome in the center of the ruins. The doors opened slowly. Inside, the air felt heavy. Glowing symbols lined the walls. Old. Ancient. Still warm. Jay walked toward the center. Something called to him. A pillar stood in the middle. And on it, a map. But not of stars. Not of planets. It was a map of sound. Lines and circles showing frequencies, names, echoes. What is this? He asked. The Empress whispered. This is the path to the weapon. Jay turned. Weapon? There was one, she said. A sound so pure, so powerful, it broke the void. It was made by a human voice, long ago, before Earth even knew the stars. A human voice? Jay asked. But how? Your kind, she said, was always strange, loud, wild, emotional. But in that chaos, there is something unique, something no other race had. Jay stared at the map. Where is it? The Empress didn't speak, because the answer came from somewhere else. A voice echoed through the chamber. You should not have come here. The shadows moved. From the far side of the hall, something stepped forward. Not fully there, not fully real. A voidling, not like the one before. This one had a face. His face. Jay gasped. The creature smiled. You opened the door, it said. And now, we walk through. Jay reached for the crystal the Empress had given him earlier, but the voidling didn't move. Go ahead, it said. Use your power. Speak your truth. But know this, every sound you make feeds us. The Empress pulled Jay back. We have to leave, now. But the map, I've seen enough, she said. They ran. The shadows followed. The ship was already waiting. Doors open. They jumped inside, and the ship lifted as the voidling screamed behind them, not with voice but with silence that shook the hull. Inside, Jay collapsed. The Empress sealed the doors and turned to him. We can't go back. Again, she said. Not until we're ready. Jay looked at her, breathing hard. Ready for what? She stared into the stars. For war. Back on Earth in the same park where Jay had vanished, the ground cracked. The black crystal he had touched before was now buried deep. Something climbed out of the soil. Not human. Not alien. A form made of smoke and memory. It walked upright. Eyes empty. Mouth stitched shut. Behind it, more shadows followed. And in the sky above, for just a second, the stars blinked. Like something was watching. Inside the ship, final cliffhanger, Jay sat quietly, the map floating before him. He reached out. The map responded. A line connected Earth to another planet, then to another, and then to a place marked only with one word, the Echo Core. The Empress whispered, That is where the weapon sleeps. Jay looked at her and said, Then that's where we're going. The Forbidden Second Wish. The ship was silent. Jay sat alone in his room staring at the map, the path to the Echo Core, the place where the legendary sound weapon slept. Lines glowed faintly on the surface, blinking slowly like a heartbeat. The Empress had locked herself in the control chamber for hours. No words, no updates, and the voices in Jay's head were getting stronger. They no longer whispered. They talked. And, Some of them lied. She hides things, a cold voice said. She fears you, said another. You are the weapon, came a third. Jay didn't know what to believe anymore. Flashback. Hours earlier, Jay and the Empress had barely escaped Halora. The voidling with his face, the map of sound, and the black crystal. It was too much. But inside the ship, the Empress refused to answer his questions. He asked about the Voidborn. She gave no answers. He asked about the weapon. She changed the topic. He asked about her past. She simply said, "Not now." Present moment, the door to the control chamber finally opened. The Empress stepped out, calm as always. Her hands folded, her expression unreadable. "We're close," she said. "One jump away from the Echo Core." Jay stood up. "I want to make my second wish," her eyes narrowed. "No. You said I get 3, he said, stepping forward. "You can't stop me." "I can stop you," she said, "because some wishes are forbidden." Jay's voice rose. "What are you hiding from me?" "Silence. You chose me. You brought me into this. And ever since that first wish, my mind is full of voices, memories that aren't mine, and nightmares of worlds I've never seen. I deserve to know the truth." Still, the Empress didn't speak. Then Jay said the words, "I wish to know the truth about you." The room darkened, the lights dimmed, the ship groaned like it was alive and afraid. The Empress didn't move. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "Very well," she whispered. "The truth cannot be avoided forever." She raised her hand, and a glowing orb appeared, not like the others. This one pulsed with red light. "This is not just my story," she said. "This is the reason the Voidborn fear us both." Memory vision begins. Jay's mind was pulled into a storm of light and sound. When it cleared, he stood on a planet of gold skies and black oceans. The Empress was there, but younger, without her crown, without her calm. She was angry, afraid, standing in front of a council of glowing beings. "They will come," she said. "The void will eat everything." The council shook their heads. "You speak too loudly," one said. "You disturb the balance," said another. But she didn't stop. She had already seen what the Voidborn could do. She had heard them in her dreams. So she broke the ancient laws. She created something forbidden, a sound, a frequency so sharp, so pure that it could tear silence itself. She used it to destroy the first wave of Voidborn, and it worked. But the cost was high. Her own planet collapsed. The people she loved forgot who they were. They forgot her, not because of the Voidborn, but because of her weapon. The council punished her, not by death, but by memory. They erased her name, her story, her place in history. They made her watch forever, as worlds fell, unable to interfere. But she broke that rule too, and that's how she found Earth. Back to present, Jay stumbled back, breath shaking. The vision faded. "You created the sound weapon," he said. She nodded. "I did. And it destroyed your own world." She said nothing. "You lied to me." "No," she said softly. "I waited. Until you were strong enough to understand." Jay turned away. "How do I know this isn't another lie?" "Because you saw it yourself," she said. "Your second wish showed it all." Jay sat down, his head heavy, his chest tight. "Why me?" he asked again. "You could have picked anyone." The Empress looked at him, her voice now fragile. "Because you still feel," she said. "You care. Even now, even after everything, you still want to save others. That is the one thing the Voidborn can never understand. That is what makes you dangerous to them." He looked up at her. "Then take me to the Echo Core," he said. "I'll find the weapon. I'll use it." Her face turned pale. "No," she said. "You can't use it." "Why not?" Because you are the weapon. Jay froze. What? That voice from long ago. The one that broke the void. It wasn't made. It wasn't created. It was born. She took a step toward him. You were born with it. His chest tightened. That's not possible. Your wish only unlocked what was already inside you. He stumbled back. I'm not a god. No, she said. You're something rarer. You're a human who listens. Meanwhile, deep in the void, a council of shadows gathers. 1,000 eyes blink at once. They speak in silence. He knows. He remembers. He must not reach the echo. They summon something ancient, a hunter, not a voidling, not a scout, a silence born. It opens its stitched mouth, and the scream that follows is pure nothing. Back to Jay. Final scene. Jay walks to the front of the ship. Stars race past. The echo core glows on the map. You said I was the weapon, he says, but I don't know how to use it. The Empress nods. You'll learn. But first, you must pass the test. What test? She touches the map. A location blinks. You must return to Earth. Jay's face hardens. Why? She whispers. Because the war has already started there. Betrayal or test? Earth. Night. But it didn't feel like home anymore. The sky was still the same, the streets still familiar, but something was off. Jay stepped out of the Empress's ship, hidden just beyond the city in a dense forest. His feet touched the ground, and for the first time in days, he was back on Earth. And yet it didn't welcome him. Why here? He asked. The Empress stood beside him, silent. What's happening? This is where your test begins, she said. Test? Jay asked. You brought me back to a dying planet for a test? Not the planet, she said. Someone on it. Jay's heart sank. Someone I know? The Empress nodded. Someone who's already made a deal with the Voidborn. Scene. A memory returns. Jay saw flashes. A childhood friend. A voice he hadn't heard in years. Someone he once trusted. Someone who had vanished without goodbye. Mason. They had grown up together. Laughed, fought, dreamed of escaping their small city. But Mason had disappeared after graduation. No message. No call. Jay never knew why. Now he did. Scene shift. City outskirts. Jay and the Empress moved through quiet streets. Buildings stood tall, but the lights were wrong, too dim. Phones didn't ring. People moved like shadows, distracted, tired, empty. Jay tried to listen. He couldn't hear their thoughts. Why can't I hear them? He asked. The Empress looked grave. Because the void has already touched this place. Not completely, but enough. Jay stopped walking. How long have they been here? Months, maybe longer. And someone is helping them spread. Scene. Abandoned train station. They arrived at an old station. No trains moved. Graffiti covered the walls. But one symbol was fresh. A dark spiral like a black sun. Jay recognized it from his dreams. They went inside. Footsteps echoed. Silence wrapped around them. Then, a voice. I wondered when you'd come back. Jay turned. It was Mason, taller, colder, his eyes glowing faint purple. But his face still held that same smirk. Jay remembered. Mason, Jay whispered. You look different, Mason said. Guess the universe finally gave you what you wanted. What did you do? Jay asked. I opened my ears, Mason said. Just like you. Jay's fists tightened. You made a deal with them? Mason laughed. I made a choice. They offered truth, power, peace. They offered silence, Jay shot back. Exactly, Mason replied. No more chaos, no more pain, no more screaming inside your head. And what did you give them in return? Mason's face changed. You? Scene flash. Betrayal revealed. Jay stumbled back. Me? Mason stepped closer. They wanted the one who listens. I didn't know it was you at first, but when I found out, He smiled again, this time darker. I called them. Jay's breath caught in his throat. Why? Because you always had something I didn't, Mason said. Everyone listened. To you, everyone followed you, and I was just noise. The Empress stepped forward. You sold your friend for nothing. Mason looked at her. You're the one using him. Don't pretend you're better. Jay held up his hand. Stop. He stepped between them. This isn't a fight. Mason raised an eyebrow. Then what is it? A chance, Jay said, to still choose something else. It's too late, Mason replied. Then I'll stop you, Jay said. Mason smiled. Try. Scene. Sudden attack. The walls of the station rippled. Shadows poured in through cracks in reality. The Silence-Born had arrived, a tall creature of black mist and bone. Its mouth was open, but no sound came. It pointed at Jay. The Empress screamed, not with voice but through thought. Don't let it touch you. Jay grabbed Mason and pulled him away. Get up, he shouted. Mason coughed. Why, are you helping me? Because I still care, Jay growled, even after what you did. Mason stared at him, broken, confused. The Silence-Born raised its hand. The station cracked. Time slowed. Jay closed his eyes. He focused. His mind opened. He let the universe speak. He heard every sound, every heartbeat, every story, every song. And he answered. A voice came from his chest, not his mouth, his soul. It was soft, human, but real. Not today. And the Silence-Born screamed, not in sound but in fear. The walls exploded in light. Aftermath. Jay woke up outside the station. Smoke, fire, silence. The Empress sat nearby, injured but alive. Mason was gone. But the mark he had left was still on the walls, still spreading. You used your voice, the Empress said weakly. Just a little, Jay replied. You're changing. He looked at his hands. They glowed faintly with golden threads. What am I becoming? He asked. More than human, she said. But still human. And that's what makes you dangerous. Void-born council in the heart of the void, the Silence-Born returned, wounded, afraid. The oldest voice in the dark finally spoke. His heart is still not broken. Break it. The final choice. Space was quiet again, but not peaceful. Jay sat in the ship's main chamber, staring at a projection of the galaxy. Thousands of glowing stars, and among them, shadows growing like cracks in glass. Void-born influence was spreading. Since the fight at the train station, something inside him had changed. He felt heavier, stronger, but not in a good way. His thoughts were louder, and the voices, they were no longer strangers. They sounded like people he knew, and one voice kept coming back. Mason. Jay's oldest friend had betrayed him, and then vanished. And still, Jay couldn't hate him. Scene. The Empress returns. The ship's door opened. The Empress entered, robes torn from battle, but her eyes still calm. They've begun, she said. Jay looked up. The Void-born? No, she said. The others. The Watchers. What Watchers? Those who guard the balance, she said. Ancient minds. They saw what you did. They see what you're becoming. And they're afraid. Jay stood up. Good, he said. Let them be afraid. But the Empress did not smile. Fear makes them dangerous. She touched the map. A new signal appeared, one that pulsed with red. What is it? Jay asked. A memory, she said. Hidden. Until now. From who? From her. Jay frowned. Her who? The Empress hesitated, then with a whisper. Arya. Flashback memory. Arya was the girl Jay loved before everything changed. Before wishes. Before aliens. Before the stars broke open. Her smile was the only place Jay had ever felt at home. But one day, she vanished. Everyone said she ran away. Some said she died. Jay never believed either. And now, the Empress showed him the truth. Scene. The Arya revelation. The projection turned into an image. A girl, locked inside a stasis chamber, suspended between light and shadow, floating above a world, made of crystal. What is this? Jay breathed. A prison, the Empress replied. One made by the Voidborn. They didn't kill her. They used her. Her voice was special, powerful, like yours. But she was too kind, too human. Jay stepped back. Why didn't you tell me? Because, the Empress said, if you knew, you would go after her. Of course I would, he shouted. She's alive. Yes, the Empress said quietly. And that's the problem. Scene. The impossible decision. The Empress pressed a button. New hologram appeared, this time the Echo Core, the ancient place where the weapon was said to rest, the place where Jay's final ability could be awakened. But now, two paths glowed, Arya's prison, or the Echo Core. Jay stared at both. You can't choose both, the Empress said. Why not? Because they're moving her, she explained. The Voidborn are shifting locations every hour. If you delay, she will vanish forever. Jay gritted his teeth. But the Echo Core, if you wait, she said, the weapon will close forever. The last chance to stop the Voidborn ends tonight. Two choices, save the girl he loved, or save the galaxy. Scene. Emotional spiral. Jay slammed his fists on the table. You told me I was the weapon, he said. So why can't I do both? Because you're still human, she said. You feel too much, and your heart makes you slow. Jay turned away. Don't speak about my heart. It's the only thing that's real in this madness. He walked into his quarters. He needed time. Scene. Inside Jay's mind as he lay in silence, a memory came, not from his own mind, but from hers. Arya's voice, not screaming, not calling for help, but singing. A soft song, full of hope, like she knew. He was listening. He stood up, made his choice, walked to the control panel. Set course, he said. Where? The Empress asked. Jay looked at both glowing signals, then turned away. Scene. Arya's rescue. A small moon hung above a crystal world. Jay's ship descended fast. The Voidborn didn't expect him here. They thought he'd choose the Echo Core, but he didn't. He chose her. Inside a glass tower, he fought through illusions, memories twisted by void energy. Voices begged him to stop. Shadows took the form of his parents, his past self, even the Empress. She'll only slow you down, one voice said. Let her go, said another. Jay kept walking, until finally he saw her, floating, asleep, still singing. Scene. Reunion. He broke the chamber. Arya fell into his arms, weak but alive. You came, she whispered. I always do, he replied. They said you'd forget me. Jay shook his head. Never. They ran back to the ship. Explosions shook the moon's surface. The Voidborn were coming, but they made it just in time. Arya was safe. But the Echo Core was gone. The price of love back on the ship. Jay sat beside her as she slept. The Empress entered, quiet. You made your choice. Jay nodded. Was it wrong? She didn't answer, but her face said everything. I'll find another way, he said. You may not get another chance, she warned. Then I'll make one. You can't create sound in a void, she said. Jay looked at Arya. Maybe not alone. In the void, the Voidborn were furious. The Silence-born council spoke in broken tones. He chose the girl. Then we take the world. And from the deepest part of the void, something older woke up. A being of silence so powerful it had never moved before. Until now. It opened its eyes, and the stars around it went out. Jay's decision-echoing area woke up, looked at Jay. What now? He smiled faintly. Now, we make noise. The wish that changed everything. Space burned. Galaxies trembled. A darkness was moving faster than light itself. Not a ship, not a creature, a being older than time. The void-born king, sire of silence, had awakened, and its eyes were fixed on Earth. Seen. Inside, Jay's Shaparia stood beside Jay, staring at the growing red ripple in the sky. "What is that?" she whispered. Jay didn't blink. The end. The Empress appeared behind them, her voice heavy with fear. "You used your second wish to know the truth, but the third? It's the only one left. The universe will obey it." Jay nodded slowly. "Then maybe it's time to break the rules." Flashback montage, overlapping voices and memories. His first wish, to hear all life. The second, to uncover the Empress's secret. And now, one wish remained. But one wish could still destroy everything. Seen. The final choice area reached for Jay's hand. "You said you'd find another way." "I will," he replied. But the Empress stepped forward. "Understand what you're about to do," she warned. "You can wish for power, protection, even to destroy the Voidborn. But every wish changes the rules of reality. This one might erase you." Jay looked her in the eyes. "Then it's worth it." He closed his eyes. The ship vibrated, reality twisted, the universe leaned in, and Jay whispered his final wish. "I wish to set every voice free." Pause. Nothing happened at first. Then, everything exploded in light. The ripple effect on a distant planet. A baby alien took its first breath and spoke. On Earth, animals looked to the sky and sang. The stars blinked, and in the heart of the void, something shattered. The void-born king, the sire of silence, screamed, a soundless scream that shook the bones of galaxies. Because Jay had done the unthinkable. He had made every being in the universe capable of expression, not just speech, but thought, memory, pain, joy, music, ideas, consciousness without limit. Backlash, the Empress fell to her knees. "He didn't just speak a wish," she whispered. "He rewrote the law of silence." Arya looked around, holding Jay as he collapsed. His body was glowing. His heart beat like a supernova, but his voice was fading. The void collapses. The void-born began to fall apart. Not in death, but in identity. They had never known self. Never known sound. Never questioned purpose, and now they felt fear, regret, longing. One by one they crumbled, not from war but from awakening. The silence-born king tried to hold itself together, but it had no name, and Jay had given it one. "You're not silent," Jay whispered. "You're lost." And in that final truth, the void died. Jay's final moments inside the ship, Jay sat on the floor, weaker now. Arya held him close, tears in her eyes. "You did it," she whispered. "You stopped them." He smiled. "I didn't stop them," he said softly. "I freed them." The Empress stood quietly nearby. "For the first time in 1,000 years, she cried. "No one has ever used a wish like that," she said. "You gave up everything." Jay's light began to fade. "Someone had to listen first," he said. Then, his body vanished into particles of light, but his voice echoed. Across stars, into every heart. Epilogue. 1 year later, Earth was different. Not perfect, but different. People could hear more, feel more. The skies were clearer. Songs rose from forests. Emotions connected strangers. Ideas sparked revolutions. The void was gone, and in its place, understanding. Arya taught others what Jay gave them. A temple stood at the edge of the sea, where his voice echoed forever. A new beginning. Deep in space, a small crystal floated. Toward an unknown planet, a child picked it up. The crystal pulsed once and a voice said, "You have been chosen."